On this episode, we are going to teach you how to take it slow and build properly. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 104 of the Foundation First Fitness Show. Today's, as mentioned, is going to be about progressing properly, building your momentum, and kind of just understanding how to build things in the right way. This is also part 2 of the 7-part series on what athletes need. Now, before we get into that, if you are watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to this on the podcast, thank you very much. And if you haven't already, head on over to YouTube to Babak Owen, search up Babak Owen, and you will see my YouTube page there. More content is coming out. A lot more content is going to be coming out on instructional videos. So whether you're a runner, athlete, seasoned athlete, not really seasoned athlete, just someone who's trying to stay fit and want to know how to train like an athlete, I'm going to be posting a lot more creative and interesting content out there that's going to allow you to really get some good tips, tools and tips that are going to help you perform better as an athlete. So getting into the topic of the day, basically, most athletes want to improve, right? That's a common factor amongst all athletes, is that they're always looking for that way to improve. They're looking for, I don't know, I have a pen in my hand. They're always looking for that competitive edge, something that's going to help them get a little bit better and that's going to help them move and progress a little bit further. And honestly, it's really one of the great and beautiful things about competitive sports. Whether you're competing with yourself or competing with other people, it's that ability to always look to do better and get better. With that comes the challenge, though, and the challenge is the need to always get there quicker and get there sooner. Most athletes that I've dealt with have always really come in and asked me how they can get better and how they can improve and how they can improve in their sport. But one of the things that usually always happens is they always want to get there sooner, get there quicker, get there faster, get there immediately. And the problem with that is when you do that, you are inviting a whole host of issues and a whole host of problems. The main issue and the main struggle that you will come into and you will come face to face with as you're trying to progress quickly is that progress requires patience. You have to be patient with progress. You can't be always expecting it to come right away. And on the flip side of it, progress itself is not patient, meaning that if you take your foot off the gas, everything will go away. It's usually one of the hardest things for people to realize, and it's one of the things that I see the most with clients. Whether they're new or not, I usually see it. It's very obvious where I see the first week, they're dialed in, they're ready to go. Second week starts tapering off. By the third week, they've either given up or they're taking that intensity level and that kind of focus level on improving right down. Now, with that, you have to understand, let's go back a bit. I'm going to backpedal a bit on the progress requires patience. With a lot of athletes, trying to get that to come really quickly usually brings on a whole host of problems, as I've mentioned. And one of those problems is injuries. Now, a lot of that is going to come with you being a new athlete, or whether you being a seasoned athlete. You're going to invite 2 different types of problems. You being a new athlete, usually the common thing that I'll see is athletes getting injured. Is they'll either get injured right away because they push themselves too much, or they'll get injured later on because they've gone too quick too soon and they've skimmed over some of the fundamental components that they need to work on, which is also step 1, which is what I mentioned last episode. If you're not building that foundation properly, you're going to lead into injury because you're trying to rush through and skip through that step, which is why you need to take your time on that. And at the same time, if you're building up that intensity too high, AKA first week or 2 weeks, you've ramped it up like crazy, usually what you'll do is a lot of people will get hurt, or they'll feel sore, or they'll push their body and they'll push that muscle soreness kind of tolerance too far. And it's not like you get a full-blown strain, but you really are flirting with an actual muscle strain or muscular strains. And what that usually will do is that'll tell people like that training is not, your brain will start perceiving that training as being a bad thing, and you won't be able to really get back into it. And as I mentioned, progress is not patient. If you're not training on a very regular basis, and it doesn't have to be huge amounts, it can be very small, very progressive ways, then you're likely to get hurt. And you're likely to see that progress that you're looking for kind of dissipate and go away. It's common. It's very common amongst athletes that are joining a sport for the first time. or they're trying a new challenge. They're trying to get to something that they've never done before. So that's where that difference comes. The other thing is that if you are, on the flip side, if you are a seasoned athlete, the issue with seasoned athletes is that they'll usually come to me, say, I want to get something like faster. And they'll want to work on speed day one, but they haven't worked on the stuff that's going to allow them to get faster. So they try to work on speed day one, and they end up taking their mind, they take their focus off the proper structured progress and the natural progression that they're going to need to go through to get quicker, whether it's working on strength, it's working on cleaning up their movement patterns, whether it's working on improving their stability, the things that are actually the limiting factors. Because they want that result to come so quickly, they're not taking the time, they're not being patient with that progress and understanding that they need to go through it in a progressive way to get to that end goal rather than start it right away. And if they do that, if they make that switch, and if you're able to make that switch, things will start changing. So the rule of thumb is always remember this as an athlete: progress requires patience, but progress itself is not patient. So you got to be consistent with it. You can't rush it. You got to be able to be consistent long enough to see the results, but you can't rush it too quick and ask it for it to get here today because you're probably not ready to handle it. So when I look at athletes, what I'm going to look at is it's more of understanding the graph, kind of a graph way of looking at it, where you'll see, I'm going to try to do this so that you see it, you perceive the thing. If I do this, I have a camera, I can see my camera, but I'm thinking if I do this, you might not see it. And if I go like this, which one? That. Oh no, that works. If I do it, you'll see it the same way I'm supposed to be seeing it, which is because the camera flips. I think the camera flips it naturally. If not, then I've completely screwed this up and I'll only notice it in post-production, but I'm going to go with my gut feeling. Athletes that are seasoned should be progressing like this. It should be a progressive flow where you're going from what you need to do progressively through time. You get to where you want to work with and what you need to work on. So your progress is going to go nice and smooth across the board. As a non-seasoned athlete, we're going to look at the volume. The volume is going to change and do more of like this kind of arch. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to start with a little less volume, but consistency, and then you're going to work towards high volume, more, I guess, intense workouts as you go. And the reason why you wanted to, sorry, not like this, it's going to actually go like this. You're going to ramp up slowly. The reason why you want to ramp up slowly is because your body is not really ready to progress in the same ways you think it would. It's going to need more time to kind of adapt to what you're going to be giving it, especially if you're going to be doing something, a sport that's going to require you to jump or going to be more explosive. You don't want to start adding too much of that explosive workout or that explosive training when your body hasn't properly adapted to what it needs to be able to handle that kind of load. It's like, building up the tolerance level, then adding the intensity level to it. And that's why it takes that time to really build up that volume before you start getting to that kind of high intensity training. So whether you're an athlete or not, whether you're an athlete that is, a seasoned athlete, or you're someone who's just starting off, the rule of thumb, the recommendation that I would always tell people is, watch out for programs that you see online that are just one-off programs. They're like, if you want to add muscle, do this program, and it's basically like a 5-day split and you just do it. Or if you want to get faster, do this program, and it's a 3-day split on how to train. And there's no progression to it. That's usually my rule of thumb. If you don't see progression to the workout, if there's no indicator that there is like some kind of thought process that's gone behind it, it's usually a lot riskier. It doesn't mean that program is bad. It means that program is not right for you. The reason it's not right for you is because it's basically a program that would be great for you somewhere along your journey, but we don't know where you are at in your journey, which is why you need to know that what you're doing as a program is progressively bringing you from where you are to where you want to be, which is why we've started building progressive programs on our website, just like our 12-week core system, the runner program that I'm working on right now, the hockey program that I'm working on right now. So we're trying to come out with stuff for different types of athletes that's going to allow them. The cycling program that we're working on. These are programs that are built for athletes that are going to be built progressively. It's going to help you work on the things that are likely to be issues in your sport that are going to allow you to progressively get better. The core system is the one we've got out right now, which is, again, taking you from someone who doesn't really train often. And even if you do train often, it's always great to kind of look at this. What a lot of my skaters are on, a lot of my players are on, my figure skaters are on this, my hockey players are on this, all my athletes are on it. What they do is basically it's a 12-week system that's going to take you from not strong core to very strong core. And if you're able to do that properly, if you're able to progress through that properly and go through that entire workout, it's going to allow you to become a significantly stronger athlete. It usually requires you to really try to be patient. And it's very possible that you may not want to do this all in 12 weeks. You may want to stretch it out to 20 weeks and just kind of take your time in the early stages to build up that tolerance. I would recommend that for someone who's starting off. I would recommend that core system because it really ties in a lot of the shoulder stability, hip stability stuff that are going to be necessary for you to actually start training and are going to be useful for you in your sport. So if you want to improve, the thing you're going to need to do is change your mindset about progress and the patience you're going to need for it. And number two, get yourself set up with a progressive program, regardless of what kind of athlete you are, or regardless of what your goal is, whether it is just to stay in shape or not. Progressive programs, progressively building up that volume is what you need to do. Progressively building up that intensity is what you need to do. And the program needs to be designed for that. If you have any questions on something you've seen, whether it's a program that you saw online that you want to send my way, that you're like, should I be doing this? What's wrong here? This is the progressive stuff that I've been doing, or this is the kind of stuff I've been going on. Feel free to reach out to me. Let me know, and I'll be happy to take a look at that for you. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below. Check out our courses down below. There's a lot of stuff there. And even our clips on soft tissue mobility, hip mobility, some great stuff there for you guys. And until that next time, keep building that foundation. Take care. Have a great day.